Aaron, thank you so much for your time. We know that everybody's busy and we appreciate this opportunity to speak with you and have it recorded so that we can send it out to our members. And I'm just going to do a quick rundown here. The way this will work is I will turn the time over to Lonnie to just talk a little bit about the chamber and why we're doing this, and then I will ask you 5 questions. I'm going to put those questions right now in the chat so that you have those questions to refer to. And I'll do that here. And then we'll go through each of the questions. You'll have 2 minutes to answer those. And then we'll turn the time back over to Lonnie. Do you have any questions about that process?
Nope. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity as well. So yeah, look forward to this.
Yeah. Actually, Lonnie, do you want to give him a chance to introduce himself, or should we do that?
Let's just so I'll just go really quick, and then we formulated all 5 of these questions. They're all business related. We're asking each candidate to try to keep your answers focused around the business community. As you know, the chamber has the interest of Moab business at heart, so that's kind of why we're doing this, is we want to see where everyone stands as far as business is concerned in town.
Sorry.
You okay, Lacey?
Yeah, I'm trying to post these questions. They're like, it won't let me do it on each line for whatever reason. It worked yesterday, but so if you'll just look through those questions, it's like number 1, and then number 2 is down a little bit.
I saw them there, but I was listening to Lonnie.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I wasn't going to try to do both.
Yeah, no,
okay,
of course.
So if you would like, before we get into the questions, give a little bit of a rundown on yourself and what made you choose to run.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. So this kind of thing is always on my mind. I left business school to get a degree in political science because I'm just fascinated with this whole idea of creating a society. How do people get along who have different interests, skills, and abilities? So that's at the heart of my thought process. I have often wished it weren't, but it is. Beyond that, I mean, I've done this before. I was on the town council in Castle Valley, so not the first time I've made this decision. Really just came to that. The more I saw the community, the division growing, and really the negativity. I mean, the diversity has always been part of what I've loved about this community. But there seems to be more of a negative bent on it lately. And I get it that, it's happening nationally, but I've always felt like in Moab, we've been above that and beyond that in the business sense. In other words, when the rest of the country has struggled economically, we don't in Moab. And I guess I just thought, we all come here, we all choose to live here. And it's a little bit harder than living in the city, but we love what's here. Maybe for different reasons we love it. It just seems like we ought to be able to get past all this division and all this us versus them stuff. So those kinds of things are at the heart of why I chose to get involved, because I believe I can be particularly helpful in countering that. So that's the why. Now, what it is I would want to do, that's at the foundation of everything. So every other question is based on that answer, whether it be housing, whether it be the budget, whether it be whatever other issue. Is that what you're headed at?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Okay.
So thank you for that. And now we'll have Lacey go ahead and get started with the questions.
All right. So our first question is, what role do you think our local government should play in the growth and development of local business?
Well, so I'm a believer in limited government. That's a philosophical stance. I'm a believer in free market system. And so those things the simple answer is what role? A limited role. That's the simple answer. Are you looking for something more details or?
However you'd like to answer that. If you want to provide a couple details, that's fine.
Well, I will say in general, there's a lot of what I would do in office that I will learn as I'm in office and understand. So having been in office before, I'm quite aware that there's information that we don't get until we are elected. And I'm not going to be so presumptuous as to think that I've got it all figured out, having never actually been there. So again, that's when I talk about what I want to do. I see the general things. I can see what's going on generally, but as far as specifics, again, it just gets to I trust the people that are in those positions. I trust that they truly want to help. I trust that there are other people in the city that could help, and it is really bringing those people together and all of that combination of knowledge, skill, and ability. I've never, in all of my leadership positions, I've never felt like, oh, I'm the one that has to know everything and figure everything out. My job is to bring people together and add what I know, but really play off of what they know as well. So it's limited. In other words, the government should not be doing a lot of control. It's more a matter of stand back. Now, there are some things government needs to do to give a general direction to how our community is moving. Certainly our safety issues the government needs to be involved in. I think that as an overall approach, we should be looking for alternative income sources for our community.
Right.
Tourism.
I've got to stop you there. Sorry, we're at our 2 minutes. But,
but 2 minutes.
Was great. Yeah. Can you see that timer right there?
You know, I saw some, it's partially blocked and yes.
That's fine. That's fine.
I struggle with 2 minutes. You know that already.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's a real 2 minutes. Awesome. Okay. Next question, but thank you. That was great. Next question is, given the recent budget deficit discussions at the city, what are your ideas on how to optimize the budget to benefit our community now, as well as set us up for the future?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Simply said, I would direct the spending of money, the taxpayers' money, to be spent on what I would generally classify as needs rather than wants. Some examples are, they all have to do with, a lot of it has to do with the infrastructure. There are certain things that only the city government can do. The roads, the water, the sewer, the police. There are certain things that only the city government can do and only should be doing. There are other things that private organizations could do. There could be nonprofits set up. And I think that some things I would be putting my efforts toward helping to organize those kinds of nonprofit groups to pursue certain benefits for the community rather than spending taxpayer dollars, and focus the taxpayer dollars on the things that only the city can do. Making sure, for example, yes, the water, the sewer, the roads, the lighting, all those things are taken care of first. I don't believe there should be any additional taxes, particularly the property tax. You know, I attended 3 meetings. I spoke 3 times at that. Was very clear about my view about that. The thing I said every single time, and the most fundamental piece about that is property taxes are exactly contrary to lowering the cost of housing and creating a housing environment that people can afford something is a primary focus. So we shouldn't be having more taxes, particularly on property. I'm blocking the timer. I'm trying to be closer. I don't want to start a new thought.
And you don't have to take up the full 2 minutes either.
What?
Don't feel like you have to take up 2 minutes.
Hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the issue, huh?
No.
That's great. All right. Third question. In the business community, we are seeing similar problems with commercial space as residential in terms of like affordability and availability, making it difficult for new and or diverse businesses to establish themselves. What are your thoughts on possible solutions for this issue?
If I understand right, you're really asking not only is there a limited housing, but there's also limited business space available. Okay, right. Well, in general, that whole area, and I have focused more on housing, but I am quite aware of the limited business. But it has to do not even so much zoning, but so what I've seen happen regarding housing, there have been a number of projects approved by the Planning Commission, but the City Council has rejected those. Sometimes maybe the City Council thinks that the Planning Department has more work to do. So it might be helping them to have the resources and space to focus on this, maybe rather than other things. This could be a wants versus needs thing as well. And I think that should be included in that is business space. Housing is most important because there are already businesses, established businesses that would love to expand within their building they have, they just had more employees. And so that to me would be the priority. But it's been well aware to me for years that there is very limited office space. I think part of it is to focus on the idea of accepting that growth is going to happen and working hard to manage it well, as opposed to an effort to reduce growth, limit growth. I think there is a feeling out there, kind of a mean-spirited feeling, to try to get tourists to not show up and to try to get residents to leave, make residents feel so uncomfortable, so unhappy here that they leave. Same with tourists. I think that's an atmosphere going on out there. That I think needs to be combated, accept the human reality of growth and work toward managing it well. And as we manage it well, we can accomplish all of those issues.
Perfect.
I did pretty good. I stopped pretty quick.
Yeah, you did. Good job. You just finished that sentence real good. All right. The fourth question is, let me scroll here. In our city, there are divides between opinions, particularly around our economy. How have you found compromise and built unity in the past? And how do you plan on doing that in the future, specifically with the economic growth of Moab?
Okay, very good. Yeah, and this is a focus of mine to find that compromise. So I think fundamentally it begins with bringing everyone to the table, not excluding people from the table because my opinion is that my guess about their views is, oh, they're never going to fit in, why even bother, kind of a thing, or they're not my crowd. Now, that's kind of the fortunate thing I have is I don't have a crowd. So it's much easier for me to draw in people because that's the way my friends are. My social setting is a wide range of people. And that's part of why I can approach it that way, as I live my life that way, where I have friends who disagree at some fundamental levels, but I've still found friendships possible. So I think it's a matter of continuing to discuss with people and to bring in everybody and, you know, have those free-flowing environments of throwing out ideas, create safe environments for people to throw out ideas. And most people who get involved in this kind of thing, they truly do want to help. They're not out to be a stick in the mud. And so I think that if I can hear all those ideas, and as we have an atmosphere of collaboration, an atmosphere of we all want to help, you know, I think we do need to begin with the agreement that we are working toward managing growth. So there needs to be maybe a preliminary discussion about, are we going to agree that we are trying to manage growth, or is there going to be, no, this discussion is about how to limit growth. Those are two very different, separate discussions. And I believe your question is assuming that everyone is on board to manage rather than limit. So it's really just keeping the conversation going. I have had positions where I might lead a group and the consensus of the group comes up to something different than I want. And that's where I've learned to accept that if that's what the group wants, then okay. My job is not to tell y'all what to do. My job is to come up with a consensus. I've done that in the past, and I believe I can do that in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, number 5. Economic diversification of Moab's tourism-based economy has been the topic of many local government discussions. What would your approach to diversification be in relation to the current established industry?
Mm-hmm. Well, here again, I would need more information. I would find out what industries have approached the city or the city has approached. It's my understanding that a few decades ago, a lot of industries were told no, that the city did not want, and maybe it's just too far past to look into. But I would look at what are possible. And again, this is not something I have done that spent the time to research, or I have been given the information to know. The one that to me is obvious is the university. That I can see beneficial for a variety of reasons. Well, I guess as far as businesses go, and it affecting one of the primary concerns and problems that local businesses have, and that is employees. I think that college students, so I know when I went to school, I had to work to pay my way through school. I think still college students have to do that, a lot of them anyway. I think they're some of the best employees. These are people, because most of our jobs are not career-oriented jobs. There are very few career-oriented jobs, considering all the vast number of service positions. And so these are employees who have already a very positive, very goal-oriented, very achievement-oriented attitude about things, and they step into a service job, and they're going to naturally give that kind of effort to that job as their top priority of school moves along. Anyway, very good employees, I think. But to do that, housing has to be solved. I'm convinced that the school is not further along because we're not further along in the housing. Housing is all about, I think, higher density. For decades, we've tried the idea of low density, and that's done the obvious thing of make high prices and fewer houses. And so I think we need to give a try at the high density, which has caused lower prices and higher quantity.
Thank you. Great. That's all I've got. So I'm going to turn the time back over to Lonnie then.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I've got one last bonus question that I've asked everyone so far. And that's kind of how we wrap this up. And with that, why should the business community vote for you?
Okay, because what I will bring to city government will be an atmosphere where business will be able to prosper, where business will not have an attitude of being contrary to the city government. My goal would be to create an environment within the city government structure, within the city staff structure, of welcoming businesses, that when you need something, you can communicate with someone easily. I've been spending time in the building, getting a feel for the flow. I would try to make things as less restrictive as possible as far as access. And again, it's moving toward that fundamental philosophy that we are trying to manage growth. We're not trying to stop growth. The housing is a big part of it. I'm aware of that. It's my new career. Been doing it 3 years, so I have some understanding of how this thing works. And I know that if we can increase high density housing, the business community will be benefited.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. That sums up everything we've got for you. So we appreciate you spending some time answering our questions.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
And if there's anything that you need from us, Aaron, just let me know. We're going to put these out all at the same time. So we're not releasing them as we do them. So as soon as everybody's had the chance to do an interview, we're hoping for the first week of October, and I'll let you know when we put it out there, and they'll just go on our website as well as to our members and our social media. So yeah,
all right.
Let me know.
Sounds
if you
good.
have questions.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Aaron.
Thanks. Okay. Have a good day.